All right, so we've talked about the materials that you need to enter a program, an engineering or an engineering technology program. We've talked about the computer specs. Now let's talk about what programs that you probably will need at some point to have installed on your computer. All right. The very basic is going to be your Microsoft products. So Word, Excel, I'll show this. Usually these are Office, Microsoft Office, and they come with it. All right. So this is Excel. All right. It's like a spreadsheet based. Some of you maybe use Google Docs, which has the information you need in PowerPoint. Okay. We still highly use Microsoft products in engineering and engineering technology. I know a lot of high schools use the Google products, but they're very similar. But we do. This is what industry uses. All right. The other program that I like to use is called OneNote. All right. So I have this is kind of how I organize all of my notes. All right. So over here on the left, you see like I have notebooks for different classes that I teach. And in each notebook, students can actually use and check and grab documents. Okay, so for example, let's check this right here. All right. So this is C to 380 course that I taught last spring. And in each notebook, I can have the students' names. All right. And they are allowed to, they can write notes. They can put their exams, any handouts that they want. This is where they can submit homework, submit quizzes. Up here is using, like, this is where anybody can write. So I write it, and then the students can actually go in and write too. I also have one that's teacher only right here, but I like using this one. But these are all the lecture notes that I do. And when I do any type of lecturing, I use OneNote and I create a notebook and I do all the notes in here. So people could have OneNote open on their computers while listening to me in class, and they can see this. So like they can zoom in and zoom out. It's much easier to see than just doing stuff on the board. Okay. I also have this projected at the screen on the board too, so they can see that. I remember when I was a student, I don't know, for some reason I was always in the back and I always had to squint and ask, and I don't know why I didn't sit up front. But this kind of makes a student kind of sit up front. So install OneNote. Usually it's installed with the Office, Microsoft Office programs. Okay, so let's go back here. So we talked about Microsoft Office products, OneNote. We also have Microsoft Teams, which is like a Teams chat. All right, let me open that up. I have like pinned like Teams chats that I use. Um, but this is a good way, a quick way of communicating with students or myself if students have questions. But I also use Discord. And so this right here is my Discord name. So you can add me if you want. But again, just another avenue for reaching students even after graduation, because teams you do, some schools you lose your email and you lose your team stuff, so I have Discord for that. All right, next up on the list would be Inventor or SolidWorks. These are programs, drawing programs, but usually you can download a student version. So don't, this is just, don't worry about the price, but you can download a student version. You just have to click student version. Let's click in here, student version. You just have to fill out some paperwork for this. Okay, higher education. But this is a drawing program, and there's a ton of other things that you could have. Tinkercad I'll go through later, but here's Inventor. Sometimes we need AutoCAD, which is 2D. All right, these are just drawing programs. And you can almost install them. Like I would install AutoCAD, I would install Inventor. If your school uses Autodesk, sometimes they use SolidWorks or a different program. So you just have to ask them what they use. Okay. Next on the list are programming languages. So MATLAB or Octave. All right, let me show you this right now. So MATLAB for students, MATLAB actually is, you have to pay even if it was a student. I think right now it's still 50 or $100 depending on what do you want to call it? What packages you pick. But these are computer-based programs, and the free version, sort of free version, is called Octave. This is free, very similar to MATLAB. There are some differences here and there, but it works. All right. So basically, what this is line by line coding. So you assign a variable. Here's an easier one. You assign x from -10 to 10. You say y equals sine of x. You can plot it, and it actually will create a plot for you. Okay. So we're switching to Octave, and we've had no really any issues so far. So I would say download Octave, and you can do what you need. All right, because we make students create computer programs using this language here, create plots to look at trends. Cool. Next one on the list, that's just your preference if you buy a 3D printer. I use Kira for most of my printers. It's called Ultimaker Kira. Again, I'll just pop this over here. You can download it for free. But this is where, say you draw up a part in Inventor, you can export that part, put it into this software, so then your printer can print that part. And depending on your printer, you may have to use their software. Like I know Bamboo, we have a few of those, and they have their own software. All right, next on the list is Arduino, and a lot of engineering tech schools use these. So I'm going to pop this over here. This is basically like a microprocessor that you can hook up and have it do different things. For example, you could hook up lights to turn lights on or off, or a DC brushed motor on and off. There's a whole slew of things that you can do with this, and we use these a lot in our program here at SUNY Canton. So we use these a ton for projects. For example, you can use this to monitor temperatures in your rooms. You can use this to turn on a pump to get water from a bucket to wherever. Or say you have water, say you're a fisherman and you have water in your boat, you can make a program that once the water level gets to a certain height in the boat, it will activate a switch and spit that water out. All right. I do have tutorials on Arduino, and I will link those into the description for you. Okay. Cool. Next on the list, kind of goes with Arduino, is drawing programs. So Tinkercad. So if I go back to Autodesk, here's Tinkercad. This is really cool. You can basically, if I go to Tinker, you can kind of quickly do 3D sketches, but I like using it for circuits. This is basically what Tinkercad is. It's a drawing program or a sketch program where you can put LEDs, resistors, wires, and hook them up to a system. You can see what the Arduino circuit diagram would look like this. And you can actually click and have it run and see if this would actually work without having the physical components. It's awesome. Highly recommend downloading Tinkercad, checking out the circuits, and playing around with it before school starts. Okay? So, quick video on, like, here's some schematics. You could pop in and see if they work. All right? It's awesome. Awesome, awesome tool. And the other thing on the list was fritzing. Now, fritzing is very similar. So again, this is very similar. You could grab Arduino, grab components, make a schematic, and you can basically create your schematic to make sure that the next set of students or someone else looking at your projects can just pull that schematic up and check to make sure everything's hooked up right when they run their project. Okay. So the Fritzing and Tinkercad kind of go with Arduino, and highly recommend downloading those electrical schematic programs. Okay. Let's go back to here. To help students with writing, two things. This book called Elements of Style, you can get, it's very cheap, $8. I purchased this when I was getting my degree, and it helped a lot. And the other thing is Grammarly. And Grammarly basically will help you fix parts of your essay or your documents that you're unsure on if it's reading correctly. So you would basically copy and paste your document in here, and over here will give you suggestions. That's what Grammarly, and I'll put Elements of Style. That book, okay? Get those. All right, next on the list, it's called draw.io. Here it is. So if you type draw.io into the web browser, like right up in here, it will load this screen right here. This is awesome. This is where you can create quick schematics, so you can insert different things. You can put arrows, like you can click and drag. So you can make a quick schematic. For example, when we would use this? Well, sometimes we want flowcharts. You could do that in PowerPoint, sure. Or you could do it in this. Or you can do lab procedures, like schematics. Like, how is this experiment? What are the main components in this experiment? So it's very similar to PowerPoint. It may have more features. But just another avenue that I have students use. So here's flowcharts. Look at that. That's cool, huh? Boom. And you can rotate it. You should be able to add text, everything. Okay. Draw.io. Pretty cool. All right. Now, this thing, let me grab this for you. Give me 1 second. So these are cool simulations that you can do to, whoops, okay, my button is, to help you learn about different concepts in engineering and engineering technology, okay? You got motion, waves, sound waves, work and energy, here's some math, and just play around with this and check it. Learn, check out these cool things, okay? So you can browse. Here's a simulation, all sims, physics, chemistry, math. Highly recommend you grab this, check it out. As you're going through your college career, your faculty will talk about what they call an FE test and a PE test. An FE test is what they call a Fundamentals of Engineering test. Usually after your 4 years, you're eligible to take this. And it basically covers all of the concepts you learned in the 4 years. And it's the first step in you getting your license in engineering. All right. Which is the PE, Professional Engineering License. And once you take your FE and you pass, you got to have certain amount of experience working with a PE before you can take that PE exam. But once you take that and pass it, then you can sign your name off on big projects. For example, say you wanted to make a bridge. You would be the main designer, and you would double check all calculations and your name would sign it. So you would be the person that is liable for that bridge. Okay. So this is a reference in any document page. So let me show you this. So here is the reference link to help you get started in the FE preparation. Okay. You can find a handbook, you can find practice exams and references to help you get started. And sometimes we have students say, yes, you can use this FE reference handbook. And it's got all the equations that you could possibly think of all the 4 years that you were in college, from physics to math to statics, dynamics to fluids, thermodynamics, vibrations. You name it, those equations, main equations will be in there. Okay? There'll be tables, there'll be charts, and it's good for you to grab this handbook and practice learning how to access that material in there. So that was the last thing on the list that I would say you should have ready to go. So these are the programs that I have my students use or utilize throughout their career. And I just wanted to share this. And I will post a link to each one of these in the description for you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you and have a great day, and best of luck in your college career.